happening, guys? And welcome back to the channel. And it's just finished. Man United won, Chelsea won, and the wait for a win at Old Trafford will enter a 10th year for Chelsea. Still no win at Old Trafford since 2013, and still no win against Man United in the Premier League since 2017. I'm not sure if there's some sort of dark magic, some sort of voodoo spell over Old Trafford whenever we go there, but I don't understand how we cannot win at that football ground and how today we absolutely dominated that game. Tuchel coached a great game. That's an easy 3-0 win, but once again, let down by the forward players time and time again. It's not just this season. It's been plaguing us for years, really since Diego Costa left. We have not had someone that can put the ball into the back of the net. And once again, we played well. We played really well. And yet let down by the forward players who cannot finish. Kai Havertz today. Sitters. You cannot miss those opportunities at the top level on a regular basis. And it wasn't just him, but it's all our forwards. Like, it's ridiculous. I mean, Tuchel's reaction summed it up when Havertz missed that header. You cannot do that. And as a manager on the sidelines, he's the one I feel most sorry for because he set the team up well. We've played well. And again, the final piece is missing. And I don't know what we do to fix it. I don't know what they do in training, George, to be honest, mate. I mean, do we do any finishing practice? I think now for the rest of the season, sack off all training and just practice shooting because no one knows what they're doing in that top end of the pitch. Honestly, I'm fuming. I'm done with this season now. Just get to the FA Cup final and just rebuild in the summer and just move on because I just don't understand. I mean, George, can you understand how on earth have we not won that game tonight?
I honestly lost for words. I've never seen such a dominant performance away at a ground that notoriously, I mean, I know not at the moment, but is meant to be a tough place to go. And it has been historically for us, not won there since 2013. I mean, 10 minutes, 15 minutes in, we've got over 75% possession of the ball. And that level maintained for pretty much 80 minutes of the match. 19 attempts on goal. And we still don't come away with 3 points. And not just half chances as well. These are clear-cut opportunities. Havertz with a couple of one-on-ones. I mean, yeah, I know they've got De Gea, and De Gea's been, they've got saviour at the top end of the pitch, and Ronaldo who scores 1-in-1 from his one chance, and you've got De Gea who's obviously saved them a lot of points this season. I honestly think United would be bottom half team without those two.
But easy.
This, Chelsea fans will probably come away from this and think, the season's done. There was nothing on the line really tonight from our point of view, being so clear in the top four. But if we're going to look forward as a club and think, right, we've got to close the gap from Liverpool and City, that again just showed that if that was Liverpool or City creating the same opportunities, they win the game comfortably tonight. And that is frightening that we cannot score more than one opportunity in a game like that. It baffles me. And you can see, mate, I've gone red in the face because I was like, I could not believe the amount of opportunities we created and still couldn't fucking come off the pitch with 3 points against the worst side, form-wise, that's in the Premier League in that so-called top six bracket. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing.
Oh, I don't know what to say. I feel like we could just literally just run the show back, pretty much just upload the same conversation for almost every game we don't win. It's the same conversation, And I don't know what we do to fix it because tonight, the performance was, in the last few games, the performance level has been poor. Arsenal performance, awful. West Ham performance was not good, but we scraped by in the last minute. Tonight, we actually played well and we dominated the 90 minutes. But, United, one chance on goal? One chance. And, it doesn't matter how dominant you are in a football match. It doesn't matter how shit the opposition are that you're playing. If you don't kill a game off, it only takes one opportunity and that team can score. We've seen it when we've dropped points against Burnley, dropped points against Everton, even dropping points against United at home, dominated those games. And yet we give the opposition one opportunity and they take it. And when you've got Ronaldo on the pitch, all you need is a sniff. And that's exactly what he got. One opportunity, one goal. But we only got ourselves to blame. United didn't do anything good tonight. Let's be perfectly clear. They were awful, absolutely awful. And they'll be absolutely delighted that they've managed to get a point tonight. I mean, That's a get out of jail free card for them. But as you say, mate, if we're going to be looking to close that gap to City and Liverpool, which we need to do, you've got to be winning at places like Old Trafford, particularly against the worst Man United side in the 30 years that the Premier League's existed. It's just not good enough. It really isn't. I mean, where do we go from here, George, in terms of, how do we improve that finishing at the top end of the pitch? Because, that's the $1 million question. But, what can we do?
I don't know, because, again, you look at the performance as a whole and you think we were in total control, played the ball really sharply. Everyone pretty much looked on point. Thiago Silva spreading balls like butter on toast. James having a fantastic performance at wing back, putting the crosses in, having chances himself. Alonso with that amazing finish for the goal. Mount interlinking. The flick fast to give it to James, who hits the outside of the post later on. But Neville summed it up perfectly. Chelsea haven't got a player that you could hang your hat on like Ronaldo and say, if he's through on goal, he's going to score. No, we've got no one. Not even James and Alonso, who were outstanding tonight. We've not got one player. You could have the most clear cut of opportunities, and I still don't back a player in a Chelsea shirt to finish. And that is a serious confidence issue, but also a real problem for Thomas Tuchel, because you saw him on the touchline, how animated he was getting.
He was fuming.
The plan was perfected. That we did the hard bit to actually create the opportunities. That I know the hardest part of football is to put the ball in the net, but come on, when you've got chances like that on a plate, you've got to put. We're only asking for one of these to go in. By the way, we're not asking for we're not asking for 7-8-0 every week. How many chances do you want to create? I would love to see the stats, because who else has created 19, 20 shots on goal?
We had 21 shots tonight.
Certainly Chelsea's most dominant performance at Old Trafford probably in history. And it is it's embarrassing from our point of view, because we need to sort it out quick. I thought Lukaku coming on, I know, again, scapegoat, but the game was done when he came on. He killed the game, because we didn't have that interchangeable positions, what they were doing so well throughout the whole game with Werner, Havertz and Mount. Had a target man, just didn't work. But the game should have been buried before Lukaku came on anyway. So I'm livid, mate, because it's this game really didn't have anything on the line. But imagine if it did. Imagine if this was a game, a game in hand where we could have closed the gap and we were still going in the title race, and we blew it like that. Honestly.
Yeah, no, I agree, mate. And obviously, this is just coming through now on Sky Sports. Roy Keane in the studio saying, "Imagine if Cristiano Ronaldo was in the Chelsea team, he'd get 50 goals." It's not the fact that, all right, we're not the most creative side, but we do create opportunities. But we just need a finisher. But you can guarantee, mate, if Ronaldo was in the Chelsea team, he'd be shit. He'd suddenly lose all his footballing ability. I don't believe in curses and all that nonsense, but do you think that there is a problem with the number 9 position at Chelsea? Because
I've got lots of incense and rocks in my house just for
But let's be clear though. Let's take Abramovich, Roman's ownership last 20 years. 20 years of Chelsea Football Club. We've had 2 centre forwards that have been good, Drogba and Costa. That is it. That's 2 in 20 years. That's really poor. What is it about the number 9 position in Chelsea? Is it the way we play? Are we signing the wrong type of player? We're not signing good enough players? What do you think it is? Because this is the one thing that is massively costing us.
It's difficult because you look at that kind of hit and miss record with strikers, but then the longevity of how good Drogba was for such a long time. Yeah. People will, say, "Oh, we bought all these strikers," but we had one that worked and was one of the best ever. So, and there were also a lot of decent strikers around, the likes of Wayne Rooney, who just weren't going to move at that point. Thierry Henry, players like that, they were just going to stay at their one club. Having said that, I think it is slightly the way Chelsea play, because I don't know whether it's to do with this. If you look at really small percentage of it, the size of the pitch at Stamford Bridge is a lot tighter and a lot smaller compared to something like Old Trafford. The way Chelsea play is quite defensive. So do we create as many chances and opportunities as maybe a out and out attacking Fergie side back in the day, where they would cross balls in from out wide? I don't know, mate. I really don't know. But we also, our timing of buying strikers has been poor. Shevchenko, Torres in particular, they were gone before they signed. And I know the hype was there, but they were gone legs-wise, form-wise. Hernan Crespo passed his peak, but did quite well. And it goes on and on and on. I don't know how to address it. And, you know, I've seen a lot of people on Twitter saying, oh, we should go for Lewandowski next season and all the rest of it. But is that going to be another case of someone who's past his best?
Oh, mate, he'd probably score a hat trick at Stamford Bridge against Fulham, and then wouldn't remember how to score again.
Mm-hmm.
Like
it's a serious issue.
I don't know what to say. I mean, you know, looking at, and I don't want to compare us to Liverpool, but you look at Liverpool's attack. The amount of money we've spent on our attacking players compared to Liverpool, you know, is ridiculous. I mean, what's the excuse for like the difference in class? It's not the coach, is it? Because, you know, Tuchel is as good or better than Klopp. Liverpool, signed Firmino, Mane, and Salah probably for the combined cost of Lukaku and Werner. They got those three. What's the difference? You know, I think we've got to ask serious questions of our scouting department as well. Why are we constantly signing attacking players that are not working out? I mean, do you think we need to completely rethink the sort of the scouting that the attacking players we're actually looking at? Because there's no reason why there should be such a gulf in class between our attackers and Liverpool's and City's, because we've spent far more money than Liverpool. Maybe not City, although close to City. Yet the gulf in class in the attacks is ridiculous, and it's not the manager, because Tuchel is as good as Pep and Klopp. What do you think it is? Should she just like completely rethink the profile of forward we look at?
Yeah, it's a really good point, because I do think Chelsea, in terms of a transfer model, tend to go for the tried and tested and very experienced, already won a lot of trophies, that sort of player all around the pitch. You've seen it for years. We don't really often give the youth a chance. I mean, you could argue the only reason James, Mount and the like have managed to make it is because we had that transfer ban. I argue that, do those players start for Chelsea if we didn't have a transfer ban under Frank that year? I don't know. And Chelsea do want that instant success, which Liverpool are prepared to wait for. We saw it with Klopp. He didn't go in for a centre half, for example, that he could have used the cash for. He said, no, I want Virgil van Dijk, waited 2 windows, got his man. And yes, it's been 6 years since he's been at the club, but now you're seeing the benefits of that patience that he has. But I don't think Chelsea under Roman Abramovich ever had that patience, because we want a trophy. We basically want a trophy a season minimum. And if it doesn't work, we change it. And we want, whether it's a commercial edition as well, with bringing in players for shirt sales and all the rest that United tends to do. It's the Chelsea way. But it's, maybe we're going like Liverpool going up, maybe we're on the decline in the fact that we do need to rethink, like you said, mate, the policy, thinking about players coming up from the youth, thinking about young strikers that can stay at the club 5, 6, 7 years, build them, develop them, give them the opportunity. And Chelsea are going to have to change that policy, and hopefully the new ownership might give that change in trajectory. But at the moment, again, we went for Lukaku, tried and tested all over Europe, but
well, it's not. Yeah, it hasn't worked out so far. That, but I mean, you just look at Liverpool. I don't keep banging on at Liverpool's recruitment, but Luis Diaz comes in January. Looks like he's been there for years. Like I don't know. Something's got to change, because we cannot keep signing the profile of forward players that we are signing, because it's not working. We need to find our identity. You know, let Tuchel decide what profile of forward player he wants and suits the system that he wants to play, and then we need to go and get them. You know, and I don't think we need to be. We need to stop spending 70, 80 million pounds, 90 million pounds on forward players, and actually maybe look at more Premier League proven players, like with Liverpool did with Diego Jota. Except maybe look, you know, for more sort of slightly under the radar signings. You know, you never see Chelsea really do that. And no, for me, that's what has to change. It really does.
And if you reverse that, you don't see Liverpool ever coming out with the marquee signings. You know, look at who the players.
Apart from Alisson and Van Dijk, but yeah.
Even then, you wouldn't say Van Dijk. Yes, he was very well sorted in Europe, but he was playing for Southampton at the time. He's not a Harry Kane or Ronaldo going to United. Sort of, you know, the news blows up and everyone's going to go out and buy a Van Dijk shirt when he arrived at Liverpool, is it? It's not that type. But Chelsea tend to go for that with oh, it's Shevchenko, it's Fernando Torres, it's massive, it's huge news. We never
But
really go for those under the radar strikers.
I mean, even Salah and Mane. I'm not saying like Mane was like under the radar as such, but he was only at Southampton. Like he was doing well there, but there was nothing to suggest that he was going to go on and be as good as he's been. And
Salah was a
the
gamble.
same, and the same with Salah. You know, obviously, didn't do well at Chelsea. I think that's perfectly acceptable to say. He went and rebuilt his career over in Italy, Fiorentina, and Roma. But there wasn't really. Look, he'd found his feet in Serie A, but there was nothing to suggest that he was going to come to the Premier League and suddenly be one of the best players in the world. So it just goes to show that we can just change our scouting slightly, look at a different profile of player, then maybe we can have a similar level of success. But ultimately, what's cost us tonight is not the performance levels, but the inability to be able to put the ball in the back of the net, which is really frustrating. That's the most frustrating thing for me, is the fact that we actually played really well tonight. It was a really good performance. We went to Old Trafford, admittedly against an awful Man United side, but we absolutely dominated. And you come away feeling like we've lost. It's an odd feeling to feel after a game. But I mean, Tuchel summed it up well. I'm just going to bring this up on the screen now. I mean, he probably might be a bit harsher when he's speaking to the lads in person. But he just said, he was saying after the game that, we lacked a bit of determination today in the box to win this game. Sometimes happens. It's on us to learn from it. If you want to win on stages like this, you have to be clinical. Once you have it, you need to be fully alert. George, are you more annoyed as well that the fact that we get the goal for Alonso, it's a great finish, and then we literally, 2-3 minutes later, Kante gives the ball away, we make a mistake, and it's 1-1, and United have got a goal which they didn't deserve from the game whatsoever. Is that more frustrating for you, the fact that we go 1-up in a game we've dominated and then just literally switch off and concede straight away?
Yeah, but that in football, that's when you're most vulnerable, isn't it? When you just score because your emotions are running high and you may forget your disciplined positions and emotions are heightened. And yeah, Kante just doesn't deal with the ball, gives it away. So it's a lovely ball from Matic. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. I don't think people were expecting that over the top. And then Ronaldo just showed what Chelsea don't have, which is someone who can take a touch in the box, get it out of his feet, hit the target, and it goes in. And he's had, the only other opportunity he had was the attempted scissor kick, which went miles over. Other than that, he's presented one opportunity and he scores it. And that was the difference tonight. United were terrible, awful. I mean, I've never seen a Manchester United side as poor as that at home that Chelsea have played in my lifetime. I mean, that's not an over exaggeration. Chelsea absolutely battered them tonight. But yeah, the key word in that from Thomas Tuchel was clinical. I mean, you talk about clinical all season long, and we've had games where we've been clinical. Norwich at home springs to mind, where everything seemed to hit the back of the net. Yeah. Saints away, even Real Madrid away from home. Clinical. We took our chances, but again, can we really close the gap if we can't bury and win a game of football like that? Because that's the best we're going to play.
Well, I mean, as you said, mate, imagine if we were in the title race tonight and we had to win that game to stay in it, and he performed and he finished like that. It's so frustrating. 21 shots, 1 goal. Man United, 1 shot, 1 goal. It's so frustrating. It really is. And yet, we're kind of crawling towards that top 4 finish. We need 6 more points. It will be 4 points if Liverpool beat Spurs. We will get there, but we are dragging this out frustratingly. But I mean, more back to the game itself, mate. Starting lineup, obviously Rudiger back in. No issues from yourself with Rudiger playing, despite the fact it's been announced he's leaving. No issues with that.
Yeah, look, I haven't had a chance to speak to you since obviously the news broke that Rudiger's decided to move on, and I don't need to add too much to it because we all know that we were desperate for him to stay, but there was always that fear that once obviously we lost control of the ownership and couldn't renew the contracts, there were rumours that he's asking for way too much. Even the agent's fee, I think, was something like £10 million that I heard from Simon Jordan on TalkSport, who seems to know the ins and outs of these sort of deals. But yeah, gutted he's going. But no, I've got no qualms. It's now an audition for him for Real Madrid and to end the season well, particularly hopefully an FA Cup win in there. But they're professionals at the end of the day. I think, they leave it to the agents or whatever. They're not too fast. He probably just said, "Look, I want a new challenge," but he'll still play his best, and he did tonight. He was still superb tonight.
Yeah, no, he was. I mean, and to be fair, we had obviously no Chalobah tonight, no Christensen, Azpilicueta slotting into the back three, Reece James and Alonso playing wing backs, Kante and Jorginho in midfield. Obviously, Ruben getting a bit of a rest. I think that's fair enough. He's played a lot of football recently, has been quite injury prone. And then continuing with Mount, Werner and Havertz, I personally would have started Christian Pulisic. I think he should have been rewarded for his goal at the weekend coming off the bench. But I mean, I could understand the appeal of Werner. He's been in good form. Plus, Old Trafford is a big pitch as well. And Werner seems to do okay on a big pitch. It seems to suit him more. But yeah, no qualms about the starting lineup, to be perfectly honest. And that first half, as we touched on, mate, it was dominant. It really was. And there was something earlier that came up in the chat, and I think it's important. And we do this. But Havertz was poor. So I'm not sure if I don't particularly agree that Kante was poor. Yes, he basically gave the ball away that led to the goal, but I thought it was one of Kante's better games. But overprotected because of reputation. Yeah, look, we always say on this channel that no matter how good a player is or how well liked they are at the club, everyone should be subject to the same level of criticism. And we've touched on it earlier, George, but those misses from Havertz are inexcusable in this game tonight. Unacceptable.
Yeah, I think the issue that Tuchel's got is he can't be too critical of him because at least he's creating the chances. I mean, who else is creating the chances? That's the only thing I would say. You can't really have a go at Havertz because he is doing the right things. He's making the right runs. He's getting the ball in the right places.
Awful, though.
Yeah, but then you've got to finish. But then again, like Neville said, is Havertz really someone that you're asking to score these sorts of goals? Is he an out and out sense? He's not. So yeah, you can't miss those. But I wouldn't bank anyone. I think if it was Mason Mount with the same opportunities, could we argue that he's going to take them either? No. Yeah, I don't agree with the Kante one. I thought he was actually decent tonight.
Yeah, it was a poor mistake though.
I know it's a poor mistake, but yeah. he was very good defensively when they were on the counter attack, and
he was decent tonight. I'd give you that.
But we know that he's coming towards that tail end of his career where he perhaps hasn't got as much energy, but he's still bossy in there. I mean, McTominay and Matic look like fucking school kids for most.
Mate, Matic was probably United's best player tonight.
Yeah. He was, but they still got out. They still got completely out.
Oh, yeah. No, yeah, for sure. We absolutely dominated them. And I mean, mate, we've seen Reece James playing at right centre-back the last few weeks. But tonight, he showed us exactly what we're missing. Excellent. He was probably on a night of positives performance-wise, not necessarily the result. He was absolutely superb tonight. And what a footballer we've got on our hands. And someone that can be at Chelsea for the rest of his career if he wants to. We've got someone that could go on to be one of the best players in the world. I mean, how impressed were you with him tonight, and how much have we missed a fit Reece James at right wing back?
Well, all I'll say is, Southgate, are you watching?
He should be England's. I'm not just saying it because we might have slight bias, but he should be England's number one. I'm sorry. I think he's better. I think he's better than Trent, and he's better than Kyle Walker.
I think he's definitely better than Trent. I mean, people who say Trent's, and I was one of these, by the way, I said Trent's delivery is perhaps better. I'm going to retract that statement. I think James has really worked on that, and his delivery is just as good. And his defensive work and his physicality on the ball, he is unbelievable. You've obviously got the run-in with Kyle Walker, who I think is equally very, very good. But James is just, I'm sorry, and you've been saying on the pod for a long, long time how special a footballer he is and what we've got on our hands, and we need to make sure that we don't have a Rudiger situation where in his prime we let him go. But yeah, incredible performance from him tonight. He was unbelievable.
Yeah, no, he wasn't. Roy Keane saying, what a player Reece James is. He looks like a boxer. His distribution, movement, strength. He seems like a nice kid too. He's a clever lad, could play in any position. Chelsea are a lucky club to have him. Outstanding. I think that pretty much sums it up perfectly. I mean, he was superb tonight. It's a shame that shot didn't go, and that would have been a lovely goal with Mount's kind of Cruyff turn, Cruyff flick assist, and Reece James just sending it past the post. But it wasn't to be. But Reece James was superb. Just a word on the other fullback, Marcus Alonso. Scapegoat, but I thought he was superb tonight. Chelsea fans like to criticise him. But the fact of the matter is that, he's not the first choice in his position. He's had to play a lot more minutes than he normally does. And yes, he does have some shit performances, 100%. But more often than not, mate, he does pull out some good performances out the bag and pops up with crucial goals. And he's a very good finisher. I mean, I would have been happy to have him in the front three tonight. I mean, I word on Alonso's performance tonight, mate. Obviously, we'll get into it in the player ratings, but the techers for the volley was class. And he's one of those that he's kind of like Marmite. You either love him or hate him. You know, he'll put in a few good performances, then he'll just follow that up with a couple of dog shit ones. Like, the consistency's not there. But when he's on it, he's a good player.
Yeah, well, look, Chelsea fans and neutrals all know his frailties, defensively and when we're against the Kosh. But these are the sort of games he loves, where we're in possession, we're in control of the tempo and the pace. He's allowed to be a licensed forward where he doesn't have much responsibility to defend because he's got no trouble because they don't have the ball. And he's a great wing back. People who watch the channel here regularly know that I've been a great fan of Alonso. I'll be like all Chelsea fans and say, yeah, sometimes he does cost us games, but I think we're also lucky to have him. And I said, a few episodes ago, I said, mark our words and be careful what you wish for, because people are crying out for, Alonso needs to go, he's past it, blah, blah, blah. But you won't get many better left backs to replace him with. If not, I would argue there aren't, actually. I know Chilwell's number one and will always be number one in front of Alonso, but his attacking ability is first class. And I mean, look at the volley. I mean, we know how much of a sweet left foot he's got.
The attackers are good on that. I wouldn't have fancied any of our attackers to pull that off tonight.
No.
Fair play to him. Fair play to him, mate. Just a quick stat that has come in. I'll put it up on the screen so everyone can see it. That now. Hold on. I've just fucked that. No, we're good.
What happens when you're live, mate?
Yeah, only slight problem when you're live. If you get something wrong, you're like an absolute prick. But no, we're good. It's here. Right. Man United against Chelsea is now the outright most drawn fixture in Premier League history, with 25 of the meetings between the sides ending level. So, most drawn fixture in Premier League history. Chelsea, Man United. I don't know if I'm surprised at that or not, but just thought I'd bring that one in. But yeah, I mean, obviously, George, how frustrating do you think from the perspective, obviously it was coming, we get a great goal. Do you think we could have, obviously I know Kante gave the ball away, but do you think there was anything else we could have done to prevent that goal? I mean, the ball from Matic is great. Thiago Silva, I don't think he can do too much else. Ronaldo's touch and finish is first class. I mean, do you think we could have done anything better other than not giving the ball away in the first place?
Yeah, I think it's just a classic case of, you see it all the time in the Premier League with teams that try and play it in tight areas from the back. We were in the corner trying to play little triangles out. And if you're not, these players are so good at doing it, and it almost goes unnoticed because you expect it from them. But then when it goes wrong and you misplace a pass, all of a sudden you've got an attacking team in a deep area of the pitch and they create something out of nothing. I don't think anyone was expecting the Matic pass, by the way.
No, I don't know where he's pulled that from.
And it's literally fallen to the worst possible player we could ask for. I mean, it's anyone else, and you'd expect that Mendy either saves or it goes blasting over the bar. But it's classic Ronaldo, isn't it? He just gets United out of trouble time and time again, and it's so frustrating because United fans will come away. Any decent United fan will say that they played shit tonight, but obviously we've got a few fans, haven't we, that Chelsea, proves Chelsea are bang average, and that proves that United aren't far off. Oh, do me a favour, honestly. Like, United are literally bottom half table club without Ronaldo. It's a fact, and I think the only thing you can do about the goal is the basics, which is when you score a goal, keep it sharp, keep it tight for the first 5 minutes. Just calm down a little bit, and we didn't do that, and it's cost us. But that's not cost us that moment. What's cost us is our lack of finishing in our final third.
Yeah, no, I'd agree. I mean, essentially, if you were being, particularly harsh, you would say that probably Kai Havertz has cost us the game today through those missed chances. But it's important to also say that all the attackers were useless, and it's not fair to just go after the players and attack them. After they have one or two bad games or miss a couple of opportunities. Havertz has performed well for a while now, so I think we just need to, don't slander him, support him. Yes, his misses have cost us the game tonight, but, it wasn't just him. The whole of the front line was poor. So it's disappointing, but, frustrating. But I don't think we could have played it much better, to be honest, mate. Do you think we could have played much better?
No, that's one of the best performances I've seen from Chelsea away from home against a so-called Big Six side. Definitely. I, honestly, you can't. If you were the manager, you'd come back into the dressing room and be like, "How the fuck did we not win that game? We've done everything I've asked and more. Created more than the amount of opportunities that Tuchel would have expected. I mean, I know Manchester United are a bit in dire straits at the moment, but you wouldn't expect 21 shots away from home, would you? And decent opportunities as well, but." I mean, it has been the tale of our season, as in big games like that, where we've just missed chances, and it's just so frustrating. So frustrating.
Are you concerned at all, mate? About like, we won't get too into it now, but are you concerned that like this lack of finishing and poor conversion rate in front of goal that could cost us the FA Cup potentially? I mean, it cost us the league. It cost us the League Cup. Mason Mount, with 2 unbelievable opportunities, has got to be scoring at least 1, if not both. It cost us the League Cup. Are you concerned that this finishing could cost us the FA Cup as well?
100%, mate. You know, when you're playing, and you know, this is a different class playing Liverpool. You've got to take your chances. I mean, United, we only needed to take one of those, we only need to take one more. We win the game. Liverpool, you know. Well, we again, it cost us in the League Cup, didn't it? We had so many chances and ended up having to go to penalties. Should have won that game quite comfortably, I thought. But yeah, it could do, mate. It really could do. And I am concerned going into the FA Cup. I'm just hoping that this bad run of form in front of goal kind of tails off, and it's all, you know, now before the final.
Yeah, we will. Well, we need to, mate. We have to, because, you know, ultimately, if we don't sort this out, it's going to cost us trophies, and it's going to cost us. Yeah, it's going to cost us in the big games. It's just so frustrating. It really, really is. But I mean, I don't know what Tuchel's going to be thinking, to be honest. Because as a manager, as you said, mate, you come off the pitch, you go into the dressing room. Like, you can't slate the lads because the performance was fantastic. But I don't know what you say to the forward players, you know, in terms of how to improve their finish. Obviously, you don't want to like put them down and whatnot, but you kind of got to make it clear that that's got to improve, and hopefully, maybe at the training. I mean, do you think they work on finishing at the in training? Because
doesn't appear so, does it? They must do, but I think it's a psychological thing. The more games you go on without scoring goals and you miss chances like that, the more you think about it in the next game when you're presented with those opportunities. I mean, again, referring back to the League Cup, we saw it with Mount, didn't we? He almost was given so much time in front of goal that if you're a Ronaldo, you don't even think. You just head down, you find a corner. I think our players just overthink it and don't know what to do, don't create the angles, and it's just something that should just come naturally. And I think finishing can be coached, but there's a degree of it where you have to be kind of natural fox in the box type player. You know, someone I refer to is someone like Jamie Vardy, who just need to look at the goal, he just knows where the corners are, where the angles are, and he puts it away. And again, I don't think Chelsea have a player who's that confident when they get through on goal.
Yeah, it's an issue, but I mean, at least we didn't lose tonight. But yeah, it's still a sense of frustration. I mean, God forbid if we'd lost tonight, it would have been, I don't know, it would have just been absolutely raging if we'd lost. Still pretty annoyed, but you know, it is what it is, really. I mean, mate, before we get into the player ratings, why do you think we've got such a poor record at Old Trafford? It's going to go into this run's now going to extend into 10 years of no win there. What do you think it is? I mean, tonight was I don't think we're going to get a better opportunity than this one tonight to win at that ground.
Yeah, mate, I have to say, when that stat came up, I think it was the night before last, something, I was like, bloody hell, it doesn't seem that long ago that we won there, but obviously it is. I couldn't quite believe it. I obviously remember some of the big bashings. I mean, Frank Lampard's first game in charge, I think it was 4-0 against
Ollie smashed. Smith. Yeah, ironically, we actually played quite well in that game as well.
Yeah, I don't know, mate. And it's, to be fair, in our whole history, it's been one of those grounds where we just historically haven't done very well in. I mean, even under Mourinho, it was always a very tough affair, wasn't it? Apart from when we won I think we'd already won the league and we won 3-1 there. But there aren't too many big nights at Old Trafford that I can remember. I think the League Cup semi we won there once, but
yeah,
it's always been a notorious ground. But it's the same with places like that we've been before, places like Everton,
Yeah.
We just don't sometimes don't do that well. But then there's other clubs which it just swings round and roundabouts. I think there's always, I think for every club there's a particular ground where you struggle.
I also think, mate, United could be a bit of a bogey team for us because, no win at Old Trafford since 2013, as we just said, and we still haven't beaten them in the Premier League since 2017. That's not good either. But every club's got a team that they struggle against or a ground they struggle with. We're just going to have to hope that we end this run next season because we need to put that to bed. We can't have a situation where we
Sorry, mate. Sorry, no, I didn't mean to cut.
Carry on, mate.
I was just saying, but then you look at some of the really iconic players in Premier League history, and I think their major bogey team has been Chelsea. I mean, Ronaldo scoring his first league goal tonight.
Yeah.
Henry never seems to do that well against Chelsea. Shearer didn't do very well against Chelsea. Rooney didn't score many goals against Chelsea. So, Chelsea's also been a bogey team for other clubs.
Yeah, no, I think that's a fair point. But yeah, we need to end this run against United because it's ridiculous. It is getting ridiculous now. 10 years with no win at Old Trafford. That's not good enough. That's not good enough. Right, let's get into the player ratings then, mate. Let's get through these. Yeah. So, starting with Edouard Mendy in goal. I mean, I've got to be honest, mate. I know he let the goal in. There wasn't really much he could do about it. But he didn't really have anything else to do in the whole game. I think he had like one save to make from a corner. But other than that, virtually nothing to do. It's a pretty quiet night for him, wasn't it? He'll be fuming that picking the ball out the back of the net was pretty much the only thing he did.
Yeah, it's really hard to rate him because he didn't have to do anything at all. He took a few goal kicks and then picked the ball out of his net. That's all he did. So it's really hard to slate him or say that he did anything amazing, but really difficult. I don't know what you're going to say for this one.
I'll probably say 6. I think that's fair, but I mean, as you say, there was virtually nothing to do, so it's hard to give him a rating. Moving on to Azpilicueta, the captain, and his 200th game as Chelsea captain in the back three tonight. What did you make of him, George? Fairly solid.
Yeah, I think that's his best position for Chelsea. I think when he plays in that kind of wing back role, he shows his
hasn't got the legs anymore.
He hasn't got the legs to bomb up and down. So I think getting tucked in there alongside someone as experienced as Silva is his ideal position at his age now. Again, pretty similar to Mendy. Didn't have a lot to do, didn't have a lot to deal with, but a solid performance. And I'd say 6 or 7. I don't think he was as good as Rudiger or Silva tonight. But
no, I'd say probably above average. Do you reckon a 6? 6 is fair?
I think 6. Yeah, 6 is fair.
Right, mate. Let's move on to Rudiger then. Back in the starting lineup after a couple of games out. I thought he was okay tonight. Not one of his better games, but again, showed his commitment to the shirt, showed his passion, showed his level of performance. Didn't really have a lot to do defensively. I mean, he was probably a little bit better than Aspie, but again, other than the goal, which we couldn't do anything about, the defenders didn't have a lot to do, did they? What did you make of Rudiger?
Yeah, I think you summed it up perfectly. I think not his best game, but again, what are you rating it on? I mean, the defenders really haven't made a mistake in any part of the game. I think what let him down a little bit is he got a little bit rash when United start to pick up.
He got a booking towards the end of the game. On Mata, didn't he? Yeah,
he got a booking, and actually he was probably a bit lucky. Some referees might have sent him off for that high foot and a bit, some of the fouls on the counter attack, which is probably one of his more. Even though he shows a lot of emotion on the pitch, that's one of the things that perhaps lets him down slightly. But I agree, mate. I think he was better than Aspie, but probably not as good as the other three we're about to mention. So I'd probably say 6.5 or 7 for Rudiger, I'd say. I don't know. You're cool.
I don't know. I'm going to go 6. I'll go 6.5. 6.5. I don't think he was a 7, really. He's probably just a bit better than Aspie. Thiago Silva. Again, obviously.
He's amazing, mate. I've got to be honest.
He was good. I mean, obviously, he was marking Ronaldo for the goal. I don't know if you can really fault him too much for that, but everything else was good. His passing was superb. His interception, his tackling. Again, as we touched on, the defenders didn't have an awful lot of defending to do. But I mean, Silva showing his class again. It's a shame he's not a few years younger. It really is. But pretty solid from him tonight.
Mate, it's amazing that 2 37-year-olds on the pitch were pretty much, other than James, the two most influential players.
Yeah.
ridiculous. Had Ronaldo in his pocket for most of the game. I'm not faulting him for that goal. I'm sorry. I think no one was expecting the ball from Matic. I think they're all in a pretty solid position, and then Matic just comes out of nowhere with some outrageous vision, which no one expects from Matic. But class. I mean, spreading the ball around the pitch so well, feeding time and time again, playing James in, ridiculous. I just think
what would you think?
I don't know what people think. I'd give him an 8, but I think I can see why you've gone 7.5. But it would be interesting what people think in the chat about what we spoke about with him and Virgil. I'd like to see what people think. Who's the better defender, Van Dijk, Silva?
Oh mate, I think I'd still rather have Thiago Silva than Van Dijk. I think, but I'll go. Let's go 7.5 for Silva. Yeah, guys in the chat, let us know if you think it should be a 7.5 or an 8, and I might change it if the consensus is it should be an 8. But yeah, let us know in the chat. Moving on to Reece James, mate. We've obviously discussed him in the show already. He was superb tonight. He was honestly outstanding. Defensively, getting forward, balls into the box was superb. Had a the shot he has that, he said after the game that he probably should score. It hits the outside of the post. There's not really much he could have done better with that shot apart from put it in. I feel a bit reluctant to give him a 10 because we didn't win. I mean, mate, he was superb tonight. He was honestly superb. I mean, I'd probably be going. I'd be going with a 9.5 just because we didn't win. But I mean, you think it should be the 10?
Well, we're rating players. We're not rating the team, so you can't say because we didn't win. I honestly, mate, I know we've only given 1 10 out this whole season with me and you on this channel.
Yeah, I think we have.
The 10 out, he's been unbelievable. Go on, give him a 10. Go on.
Oh, fuck it. Let's just give him a 10.
He
was fantastic. We'll give Reece James the 10. Why not? I mean, we're so lucky to have a player like him. I mean, God forbid how much he'd cost in the market. 80, 90, maybe 100 million pounds, and we got him for free. Exactly, mate. I mean, moving to the left-hand side, it won't quite be a 10, but Marcos Alonso was superb tonight. Again, like all of the defenders, didn't really have much defensive work to do, but was very crucial going forward. And the finish, another goal, and the finish and the techers for the volley was superb. I mean, George, great, really good from him tonight. And as we've said, he's a solid player, and despite he does have bad performances in him, tonight was good, and he's a goal threat.
Mate, I do think he's class. I know he's got his frailties, but we're looking at we all know his best position is a wing back where he hasn't got to defend, where he can push forward, where we control games, and that was a great example of that tonight. I think not as good as Reece James, but I think he's in the 8.59 bracket, mate. I don't think he put a foot wrong tonight. I really don't. Controlled the game, scored his goal. He just wasn't as influential. Didn't have as much of the ball as James, but I can't say he put a foot wrong tonight. I really can't.
I think the 9's fair because the finish and the techers for the goal are superb. I'm going to give him a 9. Feeling generous, really. Let's give him a 9. Kante. I'd say he was good, but the frustrating thing is now that Kante is making errors that he wasn't making in the last few seasons. Like a few seasons ago, he doesn't give that ball away that the goal comes from. We've seen it against a couple of times now against Madrid, giving the ball away cost us a goal. Giving the ball away tonight, costing us a goal. As you say, I thought he was really good though, mate. I mean, it was probably between him and James, the man of the match. Obviously, James was probably, just that bit better. But Kante wasn't bad tonight. One of his better performances, but frustrating that he gave the ball away, which led to the goal.
Yeah, but it's one of those, someone has to make a mistake somewhere for a goal to go in, doesn't it? And unfortunately, it's fallen to someone who was having a great game at the time. His bursting runs forward were great. He played Mount in for that chance early on. And I thought defensively he had a much better game tonight, especially when United were on the counter attack. He picked the pockets to intercept the danger. I mean, it's not hard to really boss a midfield when you've got McTominay and Matic in the middle. But
mate, that's like a bagel, nothing in the middle, mate. McTominay and Matic.
He was I thought it was a better performance tonight, but like you said, mate, that unfortunately the misplaced pass has let him down, and the team have suffered a goal because of it. So that is going to affect his score.
What do you think? I think maybe a 7, or do you think 6.5?
No, he was better than 6.5. I think.
Let's go 7.
Harsh.
7. We go 7.
7.
Jorginho. I don't know, mate. I barely know. I've got to be honest, mate. I don't know about you. I barely noticed him on the pitch. I
didn't either. No,
I mean that's not necessarily a bad thing, because he's kind of plays that role where you don't really notice him. Like, I'm not comparing him to Makelele, but Makelele was another player where you didn't really notice him on the pitch, but what he did for the team was superb. I mean, Jorginho tonight, I didn't really see him having much to do. I mean, he wasn't bad, but I don't know, it just felt like he didn't really do anything. I can't really give a summary of his performance because there wasn't really a lot to it. I mean, have you got anything to elaborate on Jorginho's performance?
No, but like you said, it's sometimes the players that are quiet are often doing the work that you just don't see off the ball, or just, those little passes, recycling the ball, starting it again. But what I would say is, again, it's all hindsight, but I would have loved, considering how shit United are, why didn't we start with someone a bit more explosive like Loftus-Cheek? And obviously if Kovacic was playing tonight, I think we do win the game. It's just annoying that we've got two players that, you look at them, they're great in isolation, but who's really offering, an attacking threat in that middle of the park? And when you're playing against, Matic and McTominay, you want someone who's just going to take it on a little bit. I'm not going to fault Tuchel, but I'm just saying that I think we could have risked it a bit more, considering United. I
would have liked to have maybe seen Ruben play tonight from the off. I think that would have been a game where he could have really enjoyed a lot of space in the midfield, and he would have dominated Matic and McTominay. But obviously, you've got to rotate the squad, you've got to rest players, etc. But I mean, a rating for Jorginho, I think maybe a 6, mate. To be honest, maybe let's go with a 6. I'll tell you what, these front three are probably going to be the lowest 3 ratings on the pitch. I would expect, mate. Let's start with Mason Mount. Not awful. He's like a millimetre away from a phenomenal assist for Reece James. That's just a couple of centimetres, inside the post. That's a great assist for Reece James's goal. But I mean, Mount tonight, like the forwards, didn't really offer very much at all, did he? I mean, he wasn't terrible. He didn't really miss sitters or anything, but he was probably the best out of the 3 at the top end of the pitch. But it's a low bar, so that doesn't really say much. But I mean, what did you make of him tonight? It was not really. There wasn't really anything, was there?
I think Mount will probably come off the pitch a little bit disappointed. He got into decent areas and pockets, and does some nice things with the ball where he plays nice balls across and creates opportunities, but it's not enough. We expect more, particularly again against an opposition that are really struggling defensively. You'd expect him to take this game by the scruff of the neck and really, show what he can do. And again, he's just in his shell a bit where you don't notice him enough. And we're so critical of Mount, but because we know the potential he has. But like we said with Werner, it's the same. We've got to have the same criticisms even for the best of players, and work rate, can only go so far. And I expect more from, when we're looking at our highest scoring players tonight being fullbacks, you've got to look at yourself as a final third player. You should be hitting those numbers.
Yeah.
For clear, it's not why are our 2 fullbacks one's getting the goal and one's man of the match. So why is that happening?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. It's a damning indictment on those forward players. It really is. But a rating, George, do you think he was above average, above 5? Do you think, or maybe not? Do you think a 5 for Mount?
I think he was bang on the 5. I thought he wasn't great, but he wasn't awful either. I thought he was bang in the middle.
And let's just go with an average 5 then.
Maybe, but
I don't think it is, mate. I don't think it is. I think the 5 is fair. I mean, Timo Werner, I would, as I said at the start, I would have started Pulisic, but still in the team, maybe because Old Trafford's a big pitch. Tuchel might have thought, might be lots of space for him to get into. We've seen him be effective on bigger pitches like St Mary's, like the Bernabeu. And he was quite good at Wembley as well, in fairness. He started the last 4 or 5 games. He had a good run in the team. Tonight, let's be honest, tonight wasn't great from Timo. a couple of missed opportunities. He was if his legs were a bit longer, he might have got on the end of that cross from Mount in the second half and maybe bundled it home. But yeah, this wasn't that great from Timo, was it?
No, I mean, again, this is a slow burner, and I've had a lot of patience with Werner. So I think Tuchel's rewarding him for some good performances, particularly away in Real Madrid. But that was that's quite a while ago now in terms of football terms.
I wouldn't expect him to start Sunday.
But then you look at it and think we're not really in risk of coming outside the top 4. So is this an opportunity to play some of those players that haven't had much football this season? And Tuchel must be looking at options for the FA Cup as well, thinking, right, I've got to give some of these players a run out, because if my first 11 doesn't go to plan, they're ready to go. I mean, it was better. You can see the confidence coming into him slowly, but fucking hell, it's a slow burner, isn't it? If we're talking 3 years just to see Werner actually control a football and pass it, it's going to take us 10 years for him to score a goal at this rate.
Yeah,
but he. I don't think he was as good as Matt. I'd probably give him a 4 or 3. I don't.
What do you think? 4?
Yeah, he should be battering the fullbacks with his pace and how shit United are at the back. But it's not just him. I mean, no one scored in that front 3 tonight.
Yeah. So. No, 4. I mean, Havertz is going to be the lowest rated of the lot.
Do you really think so?
Mate, just for those missed opportunities, I'm sorry. You have to score them.
Do you not reward him for creating them?
He didn't create his own opportunities, did he? He didn't create that header for himself. Like,
yeah,
mate, wakey. Yeah. I mean, look, he wasn't great tonight. I don't think he was particularly worse than Werner or Mount, but the fact that he missed those chances makes it worse. Because we would have been marking Mount and Werner down if they'd missed those chances, particularly Timo if he'd missed those opportunities. So it's only right that we do the same for Havertz. 2 opportunities that he should have buried. And there's a couple of times where he could have played other players in and there was poor decision-making. And, you have to criticise players you have to hold them to the same account. And this wasn't good from Kai tonight. It really wasn't. I'm sorry. I think maybe a 3.5 or a 3. It wasn't acceptable. I mean, what do you think? That's just my opinion. It might be a bit harsh. You might agree or disagree in the chat, but when you miss opportunities like that in a big game, and you make a few poor decisions as well in terms of passes, etc., it's not good enough, and you can't expect to have the highest rating in a front 3.
No, and it's how you look at it. It's how you look at football, isn't it? Do you praise someone for creating the chances but missing them, or do you criticise for missing the chances because they're forwards, which they should score? It's a difficult balance, isn't it? But like we said at the very start of rating the players, these front, whoever's playing at the front, whether it's Pulisic, Lukaku, whoever it is, why is the left back scoring the goal and the right back getting man of the match in an attacking game like that? That should not happen. I know Chelsea play a different way to everyone else, but if this was Liverpool, City, even Spurs to a degree, I mean, he's not missing it many of those chances.
No.
So, yeah, I wouldn't be as harsh, because I think he gets in the right places, but we expect more from him. So I'll go with your rating on this one, but it'll be interesting to see what people say.
I'll probably say a 3.5. I think he's worse. Mate, half.
You thought he was worse than Werner, though?
Yeah,
really?
Because of the missed opportunities.
Okay, that's fine. We'll go with that then.
And I do think that Havertz has played a lot of football. I know he didn't start against Arsenal, but he came on. I would be very surprised if Havertz started against Everton on Sunday, particularly we've got 2 days turnaround. It's a lunchtime kickoff. I'd be surprised if he started on Sunday.
I'd like Lukaku to see against Old Club. I think it would be a good opportunity for Lukaku again. But the subs, they say, obviously, Lukaku and Pulisic come on, with about 20, 15 minutes to go. Ruben come on with 10. The subs didn't really have any impact tonight, if we're being honest. Not like the last game where they got us the goal and they kind of contributed. No impact from the subs tonight. Not really much for them to do, to be honest. It wasn't a lot they could have done. But yeah, those are our player ratings. Obviously, guys, let us know in the chat if you agree or disagree, or in the comments if you're going to be watching it back. But that's what we're going with. Just wanted to bring up a quick piece of news before we sign off regarding Antonio Rudiger.
I'm just going to bring it up on screen now. Coming from the transfer Don, the legend himself, Fabrizio Romano. The agreement between Antonio Rudiger and Real Madrid will be signed in the next few days as expected. New contacts to prepare the paperwork. Deal until June 2026. No announcement before the end of the current season, but here we go, confirmed. So, kind of confirmation of what we all knew, George, that Rudiger will be joining Real Madrid, and it won't be announced before the end of this current season. So just a bit of an update there on Antonio Rudiger, and that's obviously a shame, but it's a completely different conversation. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks for getting involved in the chat as always. A good performance from the Blues tonight, but the same old problems rearing their heads again. Not clinical in front of goal. Guys, make sure you smash a like on this video. Please do hit that subscribe button, okay? If you're watching live and you're not subscribed, click the subscribe button. It really helps us out. We've passed that 400 mark now. Kind of set ourselves an ambitious target of hitting 500 subscribers before this season is out. Before the end of the season, looking to hit that 500 subscribers. So please do spread the word. Please do click that subscribe button. Tell your friends about it. Put it in your WhatsApp groups or whatever. Just get people to subscribe to the channel. We'd really appreciate it. But yeah, thank you so much, guys. And ultimately, Chelsea with a good performance tonight. Couldn't put the ball in the back of the net. The wait for a win at Old Trafford continues now. Still no win since 2013. Still no win in the Premier League against Man United since 2017. 6 more points. Excuse me. 6 more points required to secure that top 4. We head to Goodison Park on Sunday, another ground where we've not got a great record, to take on Frank Lampard's Everton, who are battling relegation. So we'll catch you in the match preview for that, probably tomorrow night or on Saturday. So until then, guys, take care. Thanks for tuning in. Subscribe to the channel and up the Chelsea.